The divorce papers felt heavier than paper should. Sealed inside a plain brown envelope, they trembled in my hands as I stood outside my mother-in-law's house, certain my marriage had reached its final page. Before I could knock, I heard my wife's voice crack through the open window, and everything I believed collapsed in an instant. For nearly a year, my wife Emma had become someone I barely recognized. The laughter that once filled our small home had gone quiet. She stopped reaching for my hand during movies, stopped asking about my day, and often slipped into another room the moment I walked in. At first, I blamed work stress. She had taken on more responsibility at the hospital where she worked as an administrative coordinator, while I buried myself in construction contracts, trying to build something better for both of us. But the distance between us grew impossible to ignore. Every conversation felt rehearsed. Every smile looked practiced. Every good night carried an invisible wall neither of us seemed able to climb. Loneliness slowly poisoned my thinking, and I convinced myself there had to be someone else. Why else would she avoid my eyes? Why did she stay up long after I'd gone to bed? Why had she started visiting her mother every single weekend without ever inviting me along? I searched for signs that confirmed my fear instead of searching for the truth. I never once caught her doing anything wrong. But when fear takes hold of a mind, imagination grows louder than facts ever can. I asked her more than once if something was troubling her. She always smiled gently and said everything was fine. Those words hurt worse than any argument could have. Everything clearly wasn't fine. We had become strangers, sharing the same address, the same bed, the same silence. One evening, after another dinner where only the kitchen clock seemed willing to speak, I quietly called a lawyer. 2 weeks later, the papers were ready. On the morning I planned to hand them to her, I learned she had already left for her mother's house again. Something in me refused to end a marriage through a cold envelope left on a kitchen table. I decided to drive there myself. Maybe I wanted one final explanation. Maybe I simply wanted closure. Either way, I found myself standing outside that familiar front door with tears burning behind my eyes, envelope shaking in my grip. Then I heard her voice through the slightly open window. She wasn't speaking with anger. She was crying harder than I had ever once heard her cry, and every word that followed rearranged everything I thought I understood about the last year of our lives. She confessed to her mother that watching me slowly lose hope had been quietly destroying her day after day. She admitted she had hidden the truth from me because she believed protecting me was the greatest act of love she still had left to give. Months earlier, doctors had discovered an aggressive illness inside her, one requiring expensive treatment and uncertain surgeries. She had secretly emptied her savings account without telling me, sold jewelry inherited from her own grandmother, and picked up extra shifts at the hospital. All of it, quietly, just to keep our finances stable without ever forcing me to abandon the business I had spent years building from nothing. She knew exactly how proud I was of that work, and feared I would sacrifice all of it, everything, to save her instead. Her mother had begged her for months to simply tell me the truth, before it became too late for either of us to fix what silence was slowly breaking. But Emma whispered, through uncontrollable sobs, that she couldn't bear watching disappointment settle into my eyes if the treatment ever failed. She said she would rather carry the entire burden completely alone than watch me suffer helplessly beside her, unable to fix something no amount of construction contracts or careful planning could ever repair for her. Then, through tears that seemed to come from somewhere far deeper than the illness itself, she confessed the words that finally broke me completely. She said the greatest pain she carried wasn't the diagnosis at all. It was watching the man she loved slowly believe she had simply stopped loving him. The envelope slipped from my hands and landed softly on the porch behind me. Everything I had believed for nearly a year collapsed within seconds, replaced by a shame so heavy it pressed directly against my chest like something physical. I realized, standing there frozen, that I had mistaken her sacrifice for rejection, her exhaustion for indifference, and her silent, desperate courage for emotional distance I had convinced myself was proof of an ending. When I finally knocked on the door, both women looked up in stunned silence. Emma immediately tried to wipe the tears from her face, but it was already too late to hide anything from me. We stood frozen for several long seconds, neither of us finding words large enough for the moment. Then I walked toward her and wrapped my arms around her tighter than I ever had in 8 years of marriage. Neither of us could speak. Every word we might have reached for felt far too small for everything we were both suddenly carrying at once. That afternoon became the first genuinely honest conversation we had shared in nearly a year. She admitted she had been terrified, every single day, of losing not just her health but the version of us that existed before fear quietly moved into our home uninvited. I admitted finally that I had let fear replace trust so completely I hadn't even noticed the substitution happening in real time. We both cried over the months we had wasted fighting invisible battles entirely alone in separate rooms of the same house. The divorce papers stayed forgotten inside their envelope on the porch, where rain later blurred the ink until every signature line disappeared completely, as though the storm itself had decided that particular ending no longer belonged to our story. The months that followed were anything but easy. Hospital visits replaced the weekend trips we used to take. Medical bills challenged every financial plan we had ever carefully built together. Some days, hope arrived in small, quiet victories. Other days, it felt entirely impossible to locate it all. But for the first time in longer than either of us wanted to admit, we faced every single one of those days together instead of separately, side by side, instead of behind separate closed doors. This is what we believe. No honest conversation, however painful, is ever wasted, even when it arrives later than it should have. It finds its way through silence eventually, the way Emma's confession finally found its way through an open window to a husband who almost gave up too soon. Friends organized fundraisers without either of us ever asking them to. Neighbors began quietly leaving homemade meals on our porch some evenings, never staying long enough to be properly thanked. Complete strangers donated after hearing pieces of our story through people we barely knew. None of them owed us anything. All of them showed up anyway, the kindness of ordinary people, arriving in casseroles and quiet donations and unasked for support, reminded us both that even during life's darkest seasons, humanity still finds a way to shine through. A year later, Emma stood beside me in the same backyard where we had celebrated our wedding reception years earlier, string lights still hanging from the same old oak tree. Her treatment had worked better than any specialist had dared to promise us. Recovery remained an ongoing journey, not a finished one, but her smile had fully returned by then, easy and unguarded in a way I hadn't seen in over a year. So, slowly, had mine, piece by piece, the same way trust rebuilds itself after nearly being lost completely. The divorce papers were long gone by then, replaced instead by newly framed photographs from memories we had both promised, quietly and separately, never to take for granted again as long as we were lucky enough to keep making more of them. Our marriage wasn't saved by anything miraculous or dramatic in the end. It was saved by one unexpected moment of overheard truth, and by the simple, terrifying courage it took for both of us to finally let honesty become stronger than the fear we'd both been quietly protecting each other from. We learned, the hard way, that silence can slowly dismantle even the strongest relationship one quiet evening at a time. And we learned that honesty, even painful honesty, even honesty delivered through tears in an overheard conversation, can become the exact bridge that leads two people back to each other. Sometimes the people who seem to love us the least in a given season are actually carrying the heaviest burdens quietly, entirely for our sake, believing silence is protection when it is often simply the loneliest kind of love either partner will ever carry. Before giving up on someone you once promised forever to, it's worth looking carefully beyond the silence sitting between you. One honest conversation, however difficult to reach, may still save a relationship you had already quietly convinced yourself was lost for good. Love isn't measured by how easy the days are. It's measured by the willingness to keep choosing each other again and again, especially when life becomes almost unbearably difficult to carry alone. Thank you for joining just a moment. We're so glad you're here.